Recently, I stumbled upon two projects that people are calling the Solana Killers. At first, I was super excited. I was like, wow, they have amazing technology and top-tier teams. Maybe these projects will bring me the life-changing gains I've been waiting for. But as I dug deeper, I stumbled upon some things that made me pause and be like, maybe they aren't as amazing as I originally thought. So the story of these Solana Killers begins at Mark Zuckerberg's Meta. Remember how they were building a hyped up blockchain called Libra, later rebranded to Diem? Well, things didn't work out on the regulatory side, so they had to shut that project down and sell any remaining assets. But there were a ton of smart people building the underlying tech for that project, and they didn't want their work to go to waste. That's why they left Meta to create their own startups based on Diem's technology. And that's how the Solana Killers were born. There are two projects here, both with origins from Meta, and they're called Aptos and Sui. Now, before you run off and go buy them, their tokens are not out yet, so hold your horses. But they have made enough progress and released enough information for us to evaluate them. So let's do that and start with Aptos, the bigger project among the two. Right off the bat, I gotta applaud Aptos on their technology. They brought over all the innovations that they built during their time at Meta, such as their own smart contract language called Move, and their own consensus protocol too. Move in particular is quite different from Ethereum's Solidity, and its overarching goal is to make it easier to build blockchain apps that are safe and verifiable. Move has also been described as a major difference between these Solana Killers and Solana itself. But overall, Aptos aims to build the most secure, scalable, and neutral blockchain out there. They want to support over 100,000 transactions per second with less than 1 second latency, numbers that would put them in the top tier of all blockchains. They're even focused on often overlooked areas of blockchain design, such as state synchronization, which basically keeps all the nodes across their network in sync. And their work there could be a true game changer when it comes to how fast their transactions are finalized, or how robust their network can be. Now, you're probably skeptical right now because we've all heard these fantastical claims before that turned out to be empty promises. But Aptos has actually made significant progress already, even though their mainnet isn't out yet. They've launched several incentivized testnets, and those are super important for finding bugs and getting feedback on what they can improve. In fact, they just finished their second incentivized testnet. They're about to start their third one, and their fourth one is scheduled for later this year. They've also partnered with big players around the crypto world to get feedback on their devnet. I'm talking big exchanges like Binance and Coinbase, and also crypto projects such as LivePeer and Rarible. But the activity and progress isn't limited to their core network though. There's also been a ton of interest in their broader ecosystem. For example, they've onboarded over 100 teams to build projects on their blockchain already, and more are likely to come as they host more hackathons and give out more capital as part of their ecosystem funding plan. Now, their early progress is quite impressive, but I think the reason they've been able to move so fast is because they got a boatload of money from VCs. Aptos was able to raise $350 million during this bear market, and they had all the top VCs involved, such as A16Z, Multicoin Capital, and Tiger Global. The guys over at Multicoin, who famously bet early on Solana, also bet big on Aptos. Kyle Samani, who's the managing partner over there, said that both Solana and Aptos have the best architecture when it comes to layer 1 blockchains, and that's why he likes them both. Will Kyle be able to catch lightning in a bottle twice? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Now, if you're super bullish on Aptos, then you're going to love Sui, because both projects are quite similar. But before we get there, I'm going to give you a tip that'll save you thousands of dollars from potentially getting hacked and losing all your crypto. And that tip is to use Guardio's Chrome extension, because that protects you from all sorts of threats when you browse the internet. Trust me, it is not enough to have an antivirus or two-factor authentication and think that you're invincible. That was me in 2018, and I still got hacked when I fell for a fake Chrome extension that took control of my Google accounts and later drained my wallet. But if I had Guardio back then, that would have never happened, because they scan Chrome extensions and stop us from installing the malicious ones. They also have this feature where they block crypto scam sites that hijack your MetaMask wallet. That's the way so many people have lost their Bored Ape NFTs before. But if they had Guardio, that could have been prevented. Now, one other form of attack you gotta watch out for is when the services you signed up for get hacked. Yep, even the biggest brands in the world get affected by this. And each hack exposes millions of passwords, wallets, or exchange accounts. But by using Guardio, we can get real-time alerts when our identity or private information is at risk, so we can take action to secure our accounts quickly. Now, those are just some of Guardio's best features, but I want to point out that they have over 1 million users, and they're one of Google's featured extensions. So they're super legit, and you can try them out by using my link guard.io/coinsider, and you'll get 50% off your first month. So it's only $5 to keep you and 4 other family members safe. And thank you, Guardio, for sponsoring this video. Okay, so both Sui and Aptos have origins from Meta, and they both use the same programming language called Move. But what's more interesting are all their differences, so let me just throw some out there for consideration. Like first, Sui uses something called casual ordering, so they don't do consensus for most of their transactions. They only do consensus for the ones that require it. So that means you can execute a lot of transactions in parallel and make the whole network run faster. Second, there's some other technical differences too, like Sui uses an expanded version of the Move language, and they have a special mempool protocol called Narwhal that Aptos does not have. Third, Sui has raised a good deal of money, but is notably less than what Aptos has raised. And fourth, Sui is just earlier than Aptos in terms of their roadmap. They're just about to release their first incentivized testnet, while Aptos is already on their third one. And fifth, Sui does have some details out about their token, but Aptos hasn't released anything yet, so we can't compare them on tokenomics for now. So far, we've only focused on the good parts of these projects, but no project is perfect, so let's look at the bad parts too. First of all, both Aptos and Sui have somewhat of a negative reputation among retail investors. That's because a lot of people are jaded from the VC pump and dumps that they saw in the Solana ecosystem. So they associate that behavior with these projects too. After all, many of the same VCs that invested in the Solana ecosystem are also invested in Sui and Aptos. To make matters worse, we got those shady Macalinao brothers moving their projects from Solana to Aptos. Remember them? There was a big article written about how they created fake identities to launch DeFi projects on Solana, and they manipulated various metrics to make things look more legit than they actually were. They were the ultimate grifters in my eyes, and I sure as hell won't be touching any project that even looks like it could be made from them. So point is, reputation matters, and these two projects may not get as much love from the retail crowd if people are more cautious towards them from the beginning. But let's just say they are able to get past this reputation problem. Then they still have to deal with all the cutthroat competition from their niche. I mean, there's over 130 blockchain networks out there, and most of them are ghost towns. So who's really gonna buy block space from Sui and Aptos? Not to mention, there's actually 3 projects coming out of Meta's Diem. Yep, I only mentioned Sui and Aptos so far, but there is a third, lesser known project called Linera that also shares the same origin. So if investors want to bet on former Meta employees, then they have 3 projects to choose from, which makes none of them unique from this perspective. And then you got that ugly legal dispute going on for Aptos. There's a $1 billion lawsuit between Sherry Glazer, a famous entrepreneur, and Mo Sheikh, the CEO of Aptos. Sherry claimed that she hired Mo as part of a consulting agreement to find blockchains that her company could acquire. But Mo instead pitched her to build their own blockchain, and she said she gave him money towards that purpose with the understanding that he wouldn't raise from other VCs. But now that he launched Aptos with hundreds of millions raised from outside VCs, she is suing him, claiming that she deserves half the network. I have no idea what to make of this, but I do know that these legal disputes can get ugly. At worst, it could make Aptos uninvestable, while at best, it's a huge distraction for the team. But either way, it's something to keep our eyes on. Now, we have all our cards on the table, so it's time for my final verdict. And my take is that I'd put a little bit in these projects when their tokens come out, but I wouldn't buy a huge bag. It's just such a crowded narrative, like 3 projects coming out of Meta? I was more excited when I thought that there were only 1 of them. Also, it's no guarantee that these big VC-backed chains will do well. It depends a lot on their initial valuation when their tokens launch. Like if they start small, say around $10 million like Solana did, then there's a lot of room for upside. But if they start big, like in the billions, then it's more likely they take the path of ICP, EOS, or Algo, where anyone who buys in post-launch loses money. Now keep in mind that things are incredibly early. I mean, heck, Aptos hasn't even released its tokenomics yet, so things can change for sure. But based on what we know right now, this is my preferred strategy. Now, if you like this video and want to see analysis on other under the radar projects, then watch this video where I review a project you could call the next Binance killer.